is the opportunity good enough
hmm
that I'm going to put the next 5 to 10 years of my life on, right?
hmm Hi, this is Zena Harris.
And I'm Mark Rabin.
Welcome to the tie-in.
This week, Mark and I are talking about entrepreneurship. He started companies, I have as well. We've both started organizations, and we just open up a little bit about what we think about owning and operating companies and what we would do differently. And hope you enjoy it. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have ideas for other episodes, we would love to hear from you. And Mark is coming to us from
San Diego Airport. I was just at Distributech, and which is like a crazy grid power conference and exhibition and trade show and meeting of the minds. And yeah, it was actually very humbling, to be
mm,
honest. um I just, when I thought, like, I know a lot about energy, and this is my jam, and you know I'm going through the world as a unique energy nerd. You go to a conference like this that has 20,000 people, really like deeply technically nerding out on grid technology. And it's a crazy time for the grid, right?
yeah,
Because of all the talk around data centers and,
yeah,
like the breaking of the grid, and everybody's been, privy to a blackout or a brownout or curtailment, right? Where you get a text message saying like, hey, so you can hear that at the airport. Um, it's like, hey, turn your air conditioning down, or hey, turn your EV charging off because you're going to get charged.
hmm
So, yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. It's this thing that for a lot of just normal people who are have work in other industries or whatever, we don't really see or interact with. We just plug. It's very passive, right? But when you pull the curtain back and you really step into it, like you have, it's really eye-opening. I find that stuff fascinating,
yeah.
even though I personally don't know it, a ton about it. I know like just a slice. But being immersed in situations like that where you've got all of these experts all around, doesn't that just like make your brain tingle?
Yeah. Well, it actually made me like a little bit scared too, because I was like, oh, I'm exploring my next business opportunities and ventures, and one of them was like, oh, maybe go get into some grid technology manufacturing or something like that. And I was like, uh-oh, like,
Uh-huh.
like this is a big game, and like it's even the small companies, they're building big things.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, it's just, there's so much huge technology because you can't software your way out of the power grid. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, it's like we get all wrapped up in ChatGPT and AI and software and our computers, and we sit all day, but all of this is, there's a backbone of just like copper
Mm-hmm.
cables, substations, huge transformers, and
The infrastructure
mhm.
that we drive by on highways and we don't even notice, right?
Yeah,
It's stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we only notice it's out,
When
when
it's
the
out.
power's out, and then we complain
Exactly.
that it's out for like a few hours or a day.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 100%. Okay. So I'm going to pick up on one thing you said in that
Yeah.
you're considering, like starting, another business or something. And I'm just want
Hmm.
to like double click on that. Look, you've started a business before,
Yep. Two.
portable electric,
Multiple.
two multiple. Okay. So you're
Yep.
a pro. I also started a
Yeah.
company and some organizations in the last,
Hmm.
few, couple, I don't know,
Yeah. You've
12
you've
years,
kickstarted
whatever.
a bunch of societies and organizations as well.
Yeah. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
just as you're thinking through this again in this time of your life, like what's different for you? Like how are you thinking of this differently? I'm so curious because it's part of like, the evolution of like, you learn, you iterate, you fail, iterate, you know what I mean? Like, but how are you thinking
Hmm.
of it this time around?
Oh, wow.
Not to put you on the spot or
Early
anything.
morning question. As I am at the airport here. Now, wow, there's so many angles actually.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Um, but I guess the first one is like, I feel like I'm just getting better. I mean, so I did an MBA in 2013, and like two businesses later, I feel like I actually have like multiple MBAs now,
Yeah,
or like I have like the deep learnings, because you only learn by doing and by sitting at the
exactly.
table and by
Hmm.
getting punched in the face a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing too is just a greater self-awareness. I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast, of course,
Hmm.
and right, it's a lot of times we walk through life, or we don't, or we react in a way that we're not aware, because it's just an automatic reaction, and then that causes a chain reaction with the other folks in the room. And I
Hmm.
think that that's been a big one for me. I've done a tremendous amount of like personal development and therapy and coaching, and like really looking at my patterns and understanding that. So I'd say that's a
Hmm.
big one.
Hmm.
Um, but also like this, the network, right?
Yeah.
The getting out there and um proving by doing again, right? It's all of these, you know, it's not fake stuff, right? You can't do
Yeah.
that. And you know that. You can't, again,
Yeah.
there are charlatans out there that do go through these exercises of creating businesses or ideas, and then, everybody's had those stories, right? Of,
You
where they
know,
take the money and they leave, or they it's not a real business or whatever.
or like wild, investment, and you're like, wow. And then,
Yeah. 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 We work.
it, and then it fails, so,
Right. So I think that
yeah.
that's been a big part of it, is just like learning the skills to get out there and to do it again. Now the question is do I have the emotional and physical and financial bandwidth, right, to do it again? Or
Yeah.
like, is that, so it's more about, I think it's more about the path of like, okay, is the opportunity good enough
Hmm.
that I'm going to put the next 5 to 10 years of my life on, right?
Hmm.
And that's kind of the issue. Or do I join a really amazing team, right,
Hmm.
that's already in flow, and jump on and then lead to that, instead of being the one who's like, this is my idea, this is what we're gonna do, right?
Starting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and you've
think
done that.
totally. I think there is, the awareness of what is, an entrepreneurial mindset and skill
Hmm.
set versus, then acting on those and literally starting a business, starting a legal entity and taking your idea forward, because you can have those mindsets and skill sets within another organization and really, leverage those to make that organization even better as well, your team better, all of that. And I think that's a good distinction, because just because you have those kinds of skills and tendencies and the initiative and drive,
Hmm.
um doesn't mean you have to start a company yourself.
Exactly, and I think it's the startup fallacy that I refer to quite a bit. Right? There's this cultural thing, especially here in North America. It's like, well, everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody can go and do it. It's
Hmm.
easy to do it, right? It's easy to raise your first $50,000, or get you some friends and family, or everybody's like, yeah, you go do it.
Yeah.
But what you don't see is the trail of broken dreams, finances, families, bank accounts that are done. Like, there's so many entrepreneurs and people that have like literally put it all on the line and then lost it all,
Yeah.
because they were told they could do one thing, and then by the time they got through it, or to a midpoint, right,
Hmm.
it's hard. It's freaking hard, and there's no
Yeah.
money, and people are like, well, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Like good try. And you're like,
Yeah.
but it's still happening. It's still going. This is like, I just need some support. I need some coaching. I need some mentorship. I need money, and whatever it is,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, honestly, like, I think, in my experience,
Yeah.
like, entrepreneurship actually, I'd worked at big companies before starting a business of my own. And it is it is the hardest thing I've done. It is, like you said, it strains people in ways beyond just the business component, the family dynamic, caring for your people and employees, and these sorts of things. Like, this is an additional thing to think about in a different way than you would have at an organization where you are a part of a larger team and infrastructure and all of this. Financially, right? Thinking about, how you're approaching the business, how you want to, keep costs down, but do quality work. And how do you invest in overhead
Hmm.
functions that, are taking away from, other things, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is,
Yeah.
this is
Then you still have your
stressful stuff.
physical, emotional, and mental health on top of that.
Yes, on top
Hmm.
of that, exactly. And I know you and I have talked about things like that
Yeah.
over the years, where it's like, how are you dealing with this? How are you, thinking about this? And this is what I've learned so much from you and your most recent, last couple of years, like your journey of self,
Hmm.
you know, looking inward, self improvement, all of these things that you're really taking care of
Yeah.
yourself. I It's really caused me to, pick up on and think about what I'm doing, So
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. Thank you
Yeah.
for modeling.
Thank you.
So,
But what's interesting is to come to these kind of conferences, and as well as I was at the Clean Tech Forum last week, so I'm kind of on
mhm,
the February conference run. But it's that there are so many amazing entrepreneurs with stories, and they've done it multiple times, and like it doesn't get easier necessarily, but it definitely, you learn the
mhm,
tricks of the trade.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's the part that's super important, right? Your first one may not succeed, but your second one might. And if your second one might not, then your third one might.
yeah.
Question is back to your point about getting just a job. I mean, maybe sometimes it's just like, I mean, I know my close friends and family are like, just get a job with stock options that just like go up in price.
You're right. I mean, this is the
Right?
stuff that sounds good just when you say
Yeah.
it, but it's a, there's more
Yeah,
to
just
it
just
than
just get a job.
that.
Just get a real job.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've only had a real job once.
I had a like I don't okay, real job. I'm gonna take issue with that one, but just like I've had the kind of traditional like corporate job. I've
Okay.
had that, right?
Yeah. So I've had that
Um,
once.
so uh I mean I did too. I did
Once for
too.
five
And
years.
I think about it a lot though. I do. I'm like, wonder what it would be like. I wonder how I would, you, be excited in a situation like that. Sometimes it's intriguing, I'm not gonna lie. um and then but it's interesting because sometimes I think in that scenario, would I be able to do the things that I can do, kind of, having my own company, autonomy, ability to, speak when I want to speak, and, do things that, might be constrained in other
Hmm.
corporate scenarios. I don't know
Yeah.
the answer, but I'm curious about it.
I I think a lot about it too, and I think that there's a lot more open-mindedness now in organizations, especially the intrapreneur,
Mm-hmm.
that mindset, or there's a lot of corporate innovation arms, right, as
Yeah.
well now that either take new tech and bring it in, or take tech and spin it out, right?
Yeah.
So I do think there are examples of that. Um, in entertainment, we're seeing it now too, right? Like companies like Netflix, for example, right? They're being pushed to be super creative and supporting all types of initiatives, right? Like there was that Rocky Mountain Institute initiative.
Oh, the
What was it
Mobile
called?
Power Initiative. Yeah.
Yeah, something like
That was
that,
a
where right, where
Netflix
it's like,
Disney
yeah,
collaboration, which, yeah,
and Rocky
totally.
Mountain Institute.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there's like those are big corporations that are trying to, figure out how to be more nimble. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know. I think we're seeing a lot of that. Even here at this like huge show, Distributech, the industry, the utility industry has been around for over 100 years, and it's been very, very, very conservative. It's a very
Yeah.
conservative industry, but they're now being forced to change and evolve and break things and grow. And the data center thing and the power needs are just all pushing the limits. And I'm actually I did about 4 interviews here
Oh,
on the floor. So
yeah.
it'll be fun to hear from them. A little bit different, but it'll be fun to hear from them.
So good little teaser for
Yeah.
for the next episode, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. That's interesting. That is okay. So you're making me think like, we have said, and I think we, can agree, like the film and TV industry has also been conservative in a lot of ways with, how they've approached filmmaking and, speaking out, gatekeeping, in certain ways, controlling the narrative, like there's a lot of conservative elements in that. Um, and if we look to other industries for examples, maybe utilities is a while an odd, maybe model to look to, just in the sense of how they're shifting their approach and being more innovative and creative from a more conservative approach to a more
Hmm.
what would you call it? More innovative, nimble approach.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, it's so funny though, for such a liberal type of industry, right? The film
I
industry
know.
for how conservative it actually is, or cagey. But for example, I mean, you've got folks like director Brent Hodge, right? Which we've got to get him on here
I
again.
know.
I don't know. Have we ever had him on here? I don't know.
No, not on
No, it was it
this.
was it was on Real Green. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get him. But like for example, he had an Adam Pauly documentary, which is really funny on HBO. And they did it. It was like a 1 day like production, and it was really, really creative. And he captured Adam Pauly doing his stand-up routine, and then he did the whole thing, packaged it up, and HBO was like, "Yeah, we'll take it." And that's very unique because
Yeah.
usually they want to have their say in it, and then you pitch the idea, and then you go and you do it, right? So
Yeah.
even that
There's a
is
shift.
is is innovative, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Yep," because they're like talent, young talent, let's go, right? So I think we're seeing it. At the end of the day, though, good shit still floats to the top, and right. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's the other thing too, is we've just created so much garbage out there that people are still yearning for a good, real connection to, a human connection, and that will speak louder than some corporate nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
At
Mm-hmm.
least that's my take in it.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Just,
Well, I mean, I guess interesting to, keep tabs on, what's going on in other industries and also like find those innovators within,
yeah,
entertainment as well, as we've been trying to do, I think,
yeah,
in the course of this little podcast project. But, um,
yeah. Well, I'm going to reach out
it's,
to Haji right after this.
yeah, do that. That would be cool. But I think, also the point is that at least some takeaways for me just in this little conversation is, you know it's a lot about awareness, self-awareness, emotional awareness, in how people how you're working, whether it's, an entrepreneurial setting or within a larger company.
Hmm.
There's a lot of that. It's probably the core piece of all of this. And interestingly for you, as you're kind of thinking through your next moves, and how that looks in terms of, your entrepreneurial journey.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's humbling. I'll say, like, I feel, I don't know, you probably feel the same way, but it's like I just feel really, really lucky to be able to have the resources and the health and the time
Hmm.
to do this, right? To do this, because it's not everybody to do the entrepreneurial journey and to do this stuff. It's not everybody that can do this. Like,
I
if
know.
you had to, like, just barely scrape by and try to, like, just keep things from falling all apart, like, you're not going to go out and start Green Spark Group,
Yeah,
right? I mean, you've
that's
got an incredible
true.
family supporting this and supporting you, and right, what for better or for worse. And then it's like, right, but that's it's not possible. Like, I was talking to a longtime entrepreneur last night at a networking event, and we were talking about this actually, and he said, it was his partner, his wife, who had to always remind him to come back to the family. Because again, you get so wrapped up in your work, and he's like, she saved, like, their family basically, because
Oh,
she always was like, you need to get back here now and drop all that shit. And there's a family, right? Now his kids
yeah.
are obviously grown up and so on. They're still together. But I thought that was a really interesting thing, right? It's like, it's a good reminder. Like, it was, yeah. I mean, can doing entrepreneurship can be toxic for your life.
It is such, yes. You know what?
So,
Like, I mean, it hits home a lot. I mean, you've
yeah,
met my husband,
yeah,
and, you know, he is solid, solid, and
hmm,
has
yeah,
been,
Rich,
yeah, super supportive and these sorts of things. But I'm not gonna lie, it has been
yeah,
stressful at times. And he's been, he's reminded me of, like, you know, let's, what are you doing?
yeah,
Like, let's
yeah,
think about
exactly.
this, because
Stop working. It's
yeah.
10 p.m.
So I know. And like traveling and stuff, like,
Yeah.
this is where, like, for leaders of companies, founders, you got to be, put yourself out there, right? You
Yeah.
have to network a lot too. You have to, you know be available, and things like this. And it does take a toll, and we have to be mindful. And so anyway, I get a reminder of that, and I appreciate it too, because you're right, we can get wrapped up
Hmm.
in work and whatnot. So anyway,
Yeah. Well, and here we are. Um, yeah, good chat. I mean, this
I
is
know
this is
you
just
probably
something.
have to go.
This is something. No, this is something so I'm glad we got to do this, and yeah, we'll do a little bit more, just chatting about different topics and different things, right? Just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Interesting though to hear a bit about your conferencing as well. So
yeah. Well, I'm out there. I am out there. I believe in rock and roll, and it's gonna happen. The universe is working in my favor.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, good for you. Good for you. Thanks for the chat.
yeah.
And
Thanks, Zena.
we'll catch up soon.
Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Social media is by Sharon Ewan. Our editor and producer is Rachel Werbel.